Hello, beloveds. Coming at you once again, this time from the beautiful island of Oahu. I am in Hawaii as part of my nomading adventure and came over here in particular to visit my beloved Lily, who I was in a 4.5-year partnership with that dissolved last summer. And we've been having such a remarkable experience of getting to know each other again and kind of reintroducing ourselves that I've felt compelled to make a little video series. And she and I have been rapping all week long about the different things that have made our transformation possible. And I just have to share it with you. It's been really beautiful. So what happened is we were in a life partnership, like a committed cohabitating, I said domesticated, that's great. A domesticated partnership, you could call us primaries. And for a number of years, we were trying to make that work, trying to do poly according to what felt best in the moment and the agreements that we had made. But we kept bumping up against the same limitations. Anytime someone new came into my life in particular who was, presented a powerful relationship or a deep relationship, it would send my relationship with Lily into a little bit of a tailspin. Lots of insecurity would come up, and ultimately it would kind of sabotage or make difficult relating with other people. So we did our best. We exhausted so many different options, coaches, different courses and workshops that we did together to really try to make it work. We so wanted to. There were so many good parts of our partnership that we really wanted to make it work. And around the time that COVID hit, we started feeling into a new option, which was giving each other space. And at first, we just took a few months to kind of go off and do our own thing. That worked. It was really empowering for both of us. And we came back together and found that that felt great. But our partnership as it wasn't quite working still. There was still a lot of the same difficulties. And so we decided to go further, and we dissolved our partnership entirely. Some people would classically call this a breakup. The more common euphemism for it is a transition, but we've been calling it a transformation, and it's been so beautiful, y'all. I've been just overjoyed getting to come and spend time with Lily and feel the love that still exists between us, that never really went away, that has had a whole bunch of new space created to blossom into, simply from the choice to give each other a lot of space. And there's a great article that space is the 6th love language that I really ascribe to. But it's a really important thing, I think, for anybody who's in relationship, or especially if you're really enmeshed with your partner, you see them all the time, that you can lose track of yourself a bit in service of the relationship or in commitment to or devotion to the relationship. And space becomes something that you can give your beloved as a gift. It becomes a gift. Say hey, I can tell you've got a lot going on for you. Why don't you take a few weeks, take a few months, take the camper van, go off in the desert and do what you got to do to find yourself again. And so that's where this adventure began, was with a lot of space. And we find ourselves now, after having taken over 8 months of space with our partnership dissolved, that something new is coming forth. I'm excited to share more about that with you. So form and connection is one of the other key components to this transformation that we've gone through, that has really bubbled up as an important topic. And you could say that anytime a connection forms with another human being, especially when it feels good, it's natural to want to know what it is. Let's give it some sort of official existence. And we do that with forms. We do that with labels like partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, etc. And it helps other people understand what you are. But I think it's also kind of just a trap of the logical mind, right? To take something that we're having feelings about and decide then with our rational mind, if I feel that way, then we must be something. We must have some container. We must have some description that defines us. And I just straight up don't think that that's necessary. I think that that's a product of our conditioning or the way that things have traditionally been done. But we can make a distinction between form and connection. And that's one of the things that Lily and I did really well, is that we felt our connection and we honored it. We acknowledged it, we allowed it to continue to exist without insisting that it be put into a particular box. Because I think when you do that, you not in every circumstance, but at least in ours, and I think in many people's circumstances, by taking the connection and trying to fit it into a box, you restrict it, or you do it a disservice, in the interest of feeling safe. Usually, that we try to derive some sense of security from a label, from a container, but I don't think that sense of security is based in anything real. I think, if anything, the strength and quality of a connection you share with somebody else is really where the safety lies. When you can really feel each other and get each other and understand each other's worlds, that to me feels a lot safer than being like, oh, I'm good, I have a girlfriend. Like that, the two are not the same conversation. They're very different. And so making this distinction between form and connection, and putting the conversation about form aside, and letting the conversation about our connection continue to exist and continue to unfold to this day. This is where this whole video series came from, was a conversation about, well, what does our connection feel like now? What are its features? What's present? What's not present? What do you not miss? What are you glad is still here? And none of it is a conversation about like, well, what are we now? It's just, how are we now? So I'm excited to get into some of the other topics related to this transformation as well. Next, we'll be getting into resentments and atonement. So letting go of something before it breaks. As Lily and I have been in conversation about how we got to this beautiful place, it's become really clear that we didn't wait too long to transition. We did find a way to let go of our old form before anything really got broken. And I think that you can hear the destruction in breakup culture, the word breakup, and like, how does it usually go for people? A couple gets to a place where they make each other miserable, and they're enemies and they're opponents, and they're fighting and it gets ugly before they actually separate. And in the process, they drag their friends into it, and people who she introduced me to, who I love, suddenly feel the need to take her side and defend her because I'm harming her in some way, because our relationship just needs to go through a transition. And we were able to recognize the greater good in choosing to transition, like we spoke about in the last video. We were able to recognize that if we let go now, that we could preserve so many of the things that we had. Most importantly, just the beauty of our connection, the love of our connection. We didn't want it to break. We didn't want to destroy it at all. We just wanted to dissolve this container, dissolve the form that we had. So we chose to do that, and the benefits have been huge. We didn't polarize our friends against each other. We didn't have to divide up our social networks, which for me was such a blessing. I've been so traumatized by breakups in the past, where overnight I lose like a whole circle of friends because a relationship went sour. And it can be difficult to wrap your head around letting go of something while it's still good. And indeed, that was one of the things that created some speed bumps for us as we were approaching this possibility of transitioning. Was like, but there's so much good here. Like, God, the way we make love and the way we do living at home together, and even just the goofy shit we do on the couch when we're watching Netflix, it's all so good. I don't want to lose all of that. And it would have been easy to remain attached to the vast majority of our relationship being really, really good. If we look at it on a pie chart, it's like, we'd be idiots to break this. Why would we break this? It's like it's getting an A, but to do that is a bypass. It's to not look at the areas that don't feel right, that are not in alignment with your power or your purpose or your highest good. It's just to remain in the status quo because it feels good. And it's attractive, seductive even, but it's kind of a velvet cage, if you ask me. And I'm really grateful that Lily and I found the way to let go before we broke the whole damn thing, because it's so fucking beautiful, and I'm glad we still have it. So for the final message of this series, the virtues of letting go before it breaks, something I'm so grateful that we chose to do was look at all the good stuff that we have in our relationship. We agreed, there's so much beauty here. I don't want to destroy any of this. And so many of us are used to the kind of the breakup culture where it's like your relationship is either a perfect success and it lasts forever, or
it's a failure.
Smash it into smithereens and just destroy everything we have. And that gosh, that binary is so heartbreaking. And we see so many people going through it, where their relationship as it exists, the commitment, the container that they're in, doesn't have much room for stretch. It doesn't have much elasticity. And we had very much discovered that our container wasn't providing us quite enough room to grow and learn and expand and pursue our purpose. And so I love that we were able to let go in time and we didn't drag it out for too long.
Yeah. And to be honest, I was really attached to the way it looked. I loved it. It was so good. And to be able to have let go before it got broken, because there was this feeling that I didn't want it to be over. I didn't want to lose what we had. So it was, we had done the work of coaching and therapy to get to that place. But in the end, it was a big moment for me of really stepping into who I want to be in life as a person that is flexible, that can adapt. And that's what we've been able to create, is an adaptable, agile relationship.
Very much so. I imagine a lot of people get stuck into this way of looking at things that's like, okay, let's do the pros and cons. Let's look at all the good and bad in this relationship. And if it's 51% good, if the pie chart has this wedge is bigger than that one, then we have to keep it going. We have to keep working on things. And our pie chart looked even better than that, if we want to be graphical about it.
You do love graphs.
I do. But ours was fantastic. Like 90% of it was so beautiful, from the way we did domestic life, cooking together and Netflix and chill and being goofy on the couch.
So goofy.
To the way we made love, to the travel that we got to do together. Like, so much of it was shining, beautiful, good. And it would have been easy, a bypass perhaps, to just keep looking at all the good and not look at that little wedge that really does need something else, that really needs room.
Yeah.
And so instead we allowed ourselves to look at that.
I think you spoke to it as well. The word commitment is so pervasive in our society. It's, you get married till death do us part, you committed. I'm still wearing the bracelet.
3 years ago we agreed this is how it's going to be now.
But that commitment doesn't allow for reality. Where are we now? Who are we today? What does, what's the best good for us individually?
What do you want the next 5 years to look like? And do they match with where we've come from? And does our old toolkit or our old form actually allow for something new to come in?
Yeah.
Whether that's for us individually or for us as a couple. And so instead, I think when we were really looking at this transition, rather than destroy anything, we just made a new commitment. A commitment to being flexible, to being elastic, to being adaptable to a clearly changing situation.
Yeah.
And in that process, we managed to discover that by letting our love breathe, by letting the container dissolve, that what is here between us now feels really durable. It feels unbreakable.
Yeah, and you led us so beautifully. Thank you so much. I'm just still so grateful that you saw what was needed and you stepped into that leadership moment and held us.
Thank you, my love. I appreciate that acknowledgement and a deep bow of gratitude to you for trusting, for letting go, for being willing to say, okay, what else is possible? What else can our love do?
Yeah. So much.
So many beautiful things. Thank you, sweetheart, for all of this. I love you.
I love you.
I love all of you. Good luck. Reach out if you need any support with your magical transitions. We'll see you around.